What's up, Change the Channel podcast listeners? My name is Megan Grace, and this is another episode of Change the Channel podcast. Welcome back to the show. On today's episode, I am going to talk with you about something that I'm currently experiencing. And it's interesting because I started recording the podcast and then I realized that my body was feeling a lot while I was talking about this topic. And I realized that is actually the point of having a Change the Channel podcast. So I'm coming to you live. I'm in it. I'm in the thick of it. I'm sharing about something that's currently happening, not something from the past. And so I just want to give a little bit of permission to potentially show up bravely in moments where you don't feel as polished, where you know that something is important to share, something that's currently happening to you or with you. That's the first channel, just right out of the gate, that I'm changing is I need to have my smooth jazz voice on and, all my shits together before I can show up here in the Change the Channel Podcast Fam. And we're just going to put down that perfectionist vibe. And I'm going to tell you that even sharing that out loud, saying the fear that I was having, the anxiety that was starting to move up in my body, talking about this, sharing out loud with you that I was making space for that, naming that was happening, has already started to calm down the pressure in my chest, the tension around my eyes, the racing feeling in my head that I was having before. And I'm starting to feel my breathing regulate. And so, y'all, this stuff is real and it's deep and it's important to put voice to it, because when you put voice to something that is authentic, uncomfortable, and something that maybe has either some shame or fear around it, shame and fear do not live well when they're not in the dark. So putting a spotlight on it, inviting safe people into your space can be so healthy and so helpful. Whew. So just taking a big deep breath for myself. I'm just going to shake my arms out a little bit and roll my neck around and get grounded again, and just be in this space with you. And feel free to also take this as inspiration for yourself too. And maybe if you're just in a space where you're like, I just wish that I had someone that was safe enough to talk to listen to, a space for me to be able to get things out of my voice box into the light, so that I don't feel like I have to carry it all myself. That's been something that's been really, really on my heart lately, in the idea of being able to change the channel in real time for myself and with other people. So go ahead and check the show notes, actually, because I'm really lit up about offering something to be able to do this with you in real time. It's going to be called Change the Channel Moments. And so all the details will be in the show notes. This is funny. I was not expecting to talk about that straight out of the gate, but Spirit is talking and wants you to know that not only do I understand what it feels like to go through this, I am committed to moving through these things with myself. So therefore, I can sit with you, hold presence with you, and offer you the love and care and support to also change channels in your life, no matter how big, small, scary, or fantastic they are. Okay, so that was channel number 1 that just came through. Thank you, Spirit, for that. Channel number 2 is going to probably make a little bit more sense of why I was feeling so active and excited about creating space for this, because June is my month of Malaversaries. I'm going to explain a little bit about what Malaversaries mean, how that came about, how it might show up in your life, and what we can do about it when they do. So, anniversaries, we all know about those, right? It's the day on the calendar that you're crossing off to be able to get to. Maybe you're planning something to celebrate the amount of time that you've been with a partner, a loved one. Maybe it's however many years you've been working in a space. It's these mile markers that celebrate something beautiful that has taken a whole other year to go around the sun. And anniversaries are powerful. They're so important. It's so important for us to have moments of reflection to see, who was I a year ago, and how do I want to move forward, and what elements of this still feel like me, and what's growing and expanding. I love anniversaries for that. Now, Malaversaries are the name that I gave dates on the calendar that are from painful, traumatic, or moments of loss. So they're the dates on the calendar that will kind of forever hold a memory around an experience in your life that you didn't want, that impacted you powerfully, and that had a painful or visceral memory as well. A lot of times Malaversaries are from things that have harmed either your body or harmed your mind, or have changed the structure of your family. So some of my clients might talk about either a loss in the family, or a time when their body was handled in a way that they didn't ask for, or maybe it's your divorce, maybe it's like a death in the family. Keeping it kind of high level and broad, because I'm not really trying to get down into the weeds of being in the Malaversary, more just wanting to talk about what I've been learning as I am stepping into June, which for me has several Malaversaries. The first thing that I notice is about a week to a week and a half before June, it varies every year, I start to feel weird symptoms. And every year it kind of catches me off guard a little bit, which is funny. And why I was thinking it might be important to talk about this, because if I'm consciously, almost obnoxiously thinking about this stuff, and it still kind of hits me almost like a dog at the dog park that comes behind your knees, and you just go up feet overhead and land on your back, Malaversaries can really sneak up on you. And I think some of it is because it's your body's painful, or it's pain, tension, irritability, sadness, crying out of nowhere. These big body visceral sensations that happen before the actual day. So for me, it's just a really irritable, shut down, racing in my chest. Sometimes I'll get more headaches than usual. My eyes will be in a lot of pain. My stomach will feel kind of weird. My digestion and what I want to eat will change. And it will all happen kind of starting at a different day each year, but either a week to a week and a half before June 1st. And what I've come to learn about Malaversaries is they are, number one, our body's way of being our biggest ally. Now let me explain because things like pain and discomfort and migraines and irritability and being unable to eat also sound a whole lot like symptoms of being unwell, right? Um, but the thing about this is it's actually your body's way of trying to send up some flares in the sky to alert you or remind you that, hey, when we were on this road, when we were doing this at this, one time, this time of year, we hit a major pothole in life, and it sort of, gave us a flat tire, leveled some stuff, and that felt terrible. And I don't want you to ever feel that way again. So I'm going to be your biggest ally. I'm going to be so so there, I'll say, because whatever part of your body is going to be speaking the most, it's going to be talking in all caps to you, because it's kind of like big flashing red lights in your body that says, alert, aware, be ready. The thing that I've learned about this is usually it's the anticipation of the day that feels worse even than the day. The day actually a lot of times will feel a bit like a release or relief. And for me, both of my Malaversaries in June put me in a freeze response. The freeze response is oftentimes the body's way of helping to keep you really safe, but it can leave kind of this lingering aftertaste of powerlessness. And I don't know about you, but powerlessness is one of my absolute freaking least favorite feelings in the world. And so my body gets me real aggravated, like I'm kind of just ready to fight and bicker with people or recluse away and mope to myself around this time, because my body is so nervous about me feeling the freeze response again. And so this year, I accidentally, it wasn't even one of those planned things. We can talk about how planning care for your Malaversaries is actually a really smart thing to do. But for me, I had started trying to get some of my power back in these situations of harm, or where I felt frozen before because of someone else's someone else's behavior towards me and towards my body. And so I started taking kickboxing, and I don't know, it's kind of turned into a bit of a smorgasbord of different kinds of like MMA and self-defense techniques. And my trainer, or coach, who I just admire so much, he's this gentle warrior that is the kindest person, but also just has like, I don't know, a never-ending arsenal of wisdom of ways to really rock your day. So I got to the gym, and I was feeling so anxious. I mean, I was even driving to the gym, and out of nowhere, I'm at a stoplight. I just start crying so hard. My body's shaking. I'm like, what is happening to me right now? The only thing my body would let me eat was like an acai bowl. I mean, really good taste for if you're gonna be going into a shutdown mode. Thank you, body, for having good taste, but also super random. And I'm driving to the gym and for a regularly scheduled session, and I just start crying and shaking, and I could feel my body being terrified of freezing again. And I was like, whoa, this is what it is. You have the muscle memory of freezing when you're going into like a combative state. And I'm about ready to take you into a gym full of fighters, of course you're going to feel this way. And so as I was driving, I had like kind of my one hand on the wheel, one hand on my heart. And I just said over and over again, you are safe. We're not going to freeze this time. You are safe. We're not going to freeze this time. And the emotion just welled up in my body. Like, I don't even know where the tears were coming from at this point. It was like, wow, it feels like there's an extra like container or something stored just for tears in my body for this moment. And I got to the gym and I was basically buzzing. My whole body just felt so active, and I'm new to this world too. So I feel a little bit of insecurity around how do I look in the gym? Am I doing a good job? There's all these pro fighters and then me showing up in like my mermaid leggings. And so I had all these stories in my head that I, number one, looked ridiculous. Number two, that everyone in there could just tell that I was a mess. And number three, my body was telling me and reminding me that when you're in combative situations, you freeze, you don't know what to do. So these were all the channels that in this session, I learned how to change. So I get into the gym, I'm walking in, and my coach, who just cannot even say enough good things about this man, he just looked at me and he said, it's like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today? And he said it in a, I actually want to know. And I said, I'm feeling really anxious. I'm feeling really buzzy. He's like, what do you mean buzzy? And I said, my body just feels everything in all caps right now. And he said, why don't we go someplace that will be quiet? It'll be in a, like, just you and me, and we can work this out. And I said, yes, perfect. So step one, what I learned is when you're having the symptoms of malaversaries, it's best to be in a place with less stimuli. So we got to a place where there was less stimuli. It was just me and him. I know that I feel safe in that space. And then I put words to what I was experiencing. I told him a little bit about the situation that had happened before and how my body was just remembering it. And I chose to tell a safe person that had the tools that I needed to help me move past this moment. And he just said, thank you so much for telling me. I wasn't aware of that. I feel really, really honored that you would share that with me. And he's like, okay, like, let's get to work. And so the rest of the session, whenever he sort of noticed me hesitate or pull back or feel into any of the freezing things, he invited me to either punch harder, knee harder, move my shoulders and my body in a more powerful way. And it was life-changing. I just kept like, we would do sort of a round and I would take a break and I would put my hand on my heart again a little bit and just say, look, we didn't freeze. Look, we didn't freeze. Look, we didn't freeze. And because my body, to be able to move past what I had experienced before, needs proof, right? It needs reminders that yes, something new happened. And the traumatic event was true, obviously, that happened. But this is also true. These moments, these reconciling and reclaiming moments are also just as true. And it's so important for us to be in that space in a moving, getting as much of your body involved as possible. Like he had me exhaling really well, like getting, my breath, like making sounds, like, um, even like we learned some grappling, positions that were like some more like close hold in, positions, which actually mirrored what had happened before. Only this time I knew what to do. I knew how to fight my way out of what was happening. And every time we drilled it, I started to feel even more safe in my body, even more aware of myself, even more aware of what I was capable of. And almost like in an ice cube, the frozen part of me started with each interaction, with each thing that I proved to myself by doing something new, something that was uncomfortable with someone that was safe. It was almost like I was melting the freeze response memory, like melting an ice cube, slow but sure, and in such a powerful and beautiful way. I am so deeply grateful for things like dancing or like kickboxing or boxing or kind of these like jujitsu movements, all of this stuff, the way that our bodies move, because with every punch, with every squat, with every driving force feeling that I had, I moved into the present. I was not in the past. I was not anticipating the fear in the future. I was so present in the moment. And when I was in the moment, that is the only time and place that I have any power to really do anything at all. The present is where we change our reality. The present is where we change the channel powerfully and potently. And so these steps that I was kind of learning for this particular thing, especially if your Malaversary is around a time that you felt powerless, a time that you froze, a time that something was outside of your control, I highly recommend finding either like a self-defense class or a trainer, someone that can help you activate your body, but is also trauma informed, safe, and kind. And so the steps were be in a position that had elements or ingredients of the experience I had before, but this time it was in a safe environment with a safe person. So number one, it's the environment, right? We don't want it to be too comfortable. It needs to be safe, but slightly uncomfortable, because that's when your body perks up or pays attention or becomes ready to do something new. The next step was putting voice to what I was feeling. If I had just come in and been like, just going to be a brave little soldier, I'm going to be in this corner over here feeling really, really out of body and uncomfortable, then I just would have reinforced the feeling of not having a voice and powerlessness, which is the exact opposite reason of why I was at the gym in the first place. So using your voice, speaking up, even if you don't know the whole whys behind it, even if you can't fully put words to the emotion, it's so important to just say, I am currently experiencing this, and offer that other person the opportunity to support you and help you. So my coach was amazing and was like, let's get you to a place that's quieter. So that was super supportive. And then the next thing was getting my body involved, and moving into a place or way where instead of me feeling powerless, or frozen, I was active. I was in a space of choice, and I was able to see immediate results. Like When I throw a knee and I hear my coach make that like sound, I know that I landed it. I know that it happened. I get that immediate feedback when I'm striking the paddles and I'm hearing that thack sound. Like that's immediate. It's giving my brain great feedback of my power and allowing me to stay present in my body in that moment. The next thing that I think was really important was to get my heart rate up. Like my face was it was so red. My hair was crazy. I was like out of breath in a really good way, because when you have all of that nervous, buzzy anxiety living in your body, sometimes we can't just think our way through it. You have to almost exhaust that part of you that just keeps running and running and running again. So taking some of that energy and channeling it outward into the physical exercise, and not just running for the sake of running, but in these short kind of training segments, I was able to exhaust myself, but also give myself a completely new bit of data points about exactly how powerful I am in my body. And then my coach was just really great afterwards. Like, it's like, how do you feel? Having someone to check back in with you again is also so important, right? It's like he was along for the journey with me, showing up in that kindness, letting me know that I wasn't alone, which is also a really big part of being in a Malaversary time, right? Because it can feel kind of ridiculous to feel so affected by something that happened, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, that kind of thing, but it can still feel really real for you. It feels really real for me. And so having someone else with me in the present, witnessing me, holding space for me, asking me how I felt both before and after was really grounding. And so again, that's why I'm feeling so passionate about offering these type of, just like one-time conversations, being able to have a space for you to bring a question or a feeling and be witnessed, have some tools and some things to move through your individual feeling, and then be able to have someone check in with you afterwards. Because the older we get, the more years we live, the more times we interact with other people, the more opportunities we do have to love, to lose, to be harmed, to heal, to feel pain, but also to feel joy. And so I'm more convinced than ever that this is the kind of work that needs to be done in community with people that are doing the work themselves, so they can sit with you, be with you, hold space for you and with you, and then celebrate all that you've gone through together at the end. So, all right, let's do a quick deep breath at the end of all of that. I want to invite you, if you feel called, if you're able to just shake your hands out, to move your neck around again, to start to think about days on the calendar. They might not be right now. It might be later on down the road. But set up and put a reminder in your phone, on your calendar, maybe a week before that time frame, and just say, this is a time that I know I'm going to need Malaversary support. This is a time that I am committed to changing the channel on this, because every year that I do this, I do it differently. And each time it melts the memory a little bit differently. And so, but the thing that I didn't do that I wished I would have done, so I'm telling you or inviting you to, is to put something on my calendar so I'm not shocked by it. I'm aware of it, and I can be the best current adult version of me to help take care of those younger versions of me that, will start to come up again during those times. So go ahead and just, number one, put that stuff on your calendar so that you're ready. Step two, I'm going to, again, put in the show notes a link if you would like to have a conversation with me about something like this for you. I would love to help you move through that channel change. Number three, start writing down maybe, 3 tools that feel really supportive for you when you are feeling kind of in that malaversary, energy. That way, when the crisis comes and it's staring you in the face, you're not scrambling looking for, your flashlight and hammer and tools, whatever. You want the stuff at the ready, because when a malaversary energy strikes, it takes you to the limbic system of your brain, which is fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It is not the logical part. It's not the rational reasoning. It's the just keeping you safe. So we can love on that part of you, that future part of you, if you have this list made so they're easy to grab, those tools. Maybe it's even this podcast. Maybe it's, maybe you also want to have some kind of a physical trainer. I also love to do my somatic coaching, sessions with clients. They'll put that on the calendar, leading up to the day to get themselves, set up and supported and anticipating the needs of future them. So that maybe, I don't know, maybe the day or the process can be a little bit more smooth each time. But whatever it is for you, whatever way that it allows you to physically get back into your body in the present, that is what a malaversary needs. So thank you so much for being with me in my beginning of June. I tell you, my natural inclination is to hide until June is over because I don't want to bother anyone else with my malaversary things. And so if that's you also, I see you, and we get to do things differently. We get to show up even when we're not perfect. We get to be kind allies to our bodies as our bodies are kind allies to us. And we get to continue to be brave, badass humans that are committed to changing the channels in our lives, not being controlled by the stories of our past, but being compelled by the hope and joy in a future that can be built with some of the lessons and the wisdom that came perhaps from something that was painful in the past. But through these channel changing properties and understanding malaversaries, we get to not only impact our future, but also our ancestral lines, our friends, our family, our community. And I think if we all were doing this kind of work, we could really impact the world. So thank you for taking care of your own corner of this planet. Also, shout out to my coach Hamza for being an integral part of my channel changing this 2024 June Malaversary month. And as always, go forth, change the channel in your life. I'm here to support, here to celebrate. Love you all. And that was another episode of Change the Channel podcast.